So this is the debut of the world's first multi-book, Introduction to Graphic Communication. In this short presentation, most of this is going to be our story and answering a lot of questions, and print itself is going to need to change to meet the expectations of the Gen Y upcoming generations. So we're not going to be able to print the way we used to, but the printing itself has intrinsic value that doesn't change. And so with any luck, I'm going to play a video that we included in the book with permission of Sappi and Dr. Eagleman about why that's true.
Since the early 90s, there have been more than 100 published studies on people reading on paper versus on a screen. And it turns out that overall what they show is that people prefer reading on paper, and that's because things are more intuitively navigable and you can make a better mental map of where things are. And it's just cognitively easier on you than reading on a screen. And so people tend to enjoy the experience better and they remember more. A recent study in Norway had high schoolers read texts either on paper or online, and they measured comprehension, and comprehension was much better when you were reading on paper. And similarly, in Sweden, they had a bunch of students read things online. What they found is that their levels of stress were higher, and they were also more tired afterward as compared with when they read on paper. When you consider memory, paper looks even better, and that's because when we read online, we tend to go about it a different way, where we're hunting and browsing and scanning for things. But on paper, your attention is directed in a different way, and so we have a longer-term memory for what we've read. So while digital devices are great for certain kinds of communication, like sending tweets or getting directions, it turns out that even digital natives have a better experience on paper in terms of comprehending what they're reading and remembering it better.
What Dr. Eagleman is saying, very eloquently I might add, is that there is actual scientific research to back up the assertion that people, even digital millennials, who have not experienced media on their phones, on their tablets, on their devices, and in learning situations where knowledge retention and memory are at stake, they actually learn better with print. They actually have haptic. The word haptic means the science of touch, and that's what Dr. Eagleman's specialty is. And he is basically just recounting all the research that has been done worldwide, and some of it by himself, that says even the quality of the paper affects how people are impacted by how the message is received, which is, of course, why Sappi sponsored this series, because the quality of the paper actually matters. So that brings us to us. So Harvey, why don't you take over and talk about how this all started?
Okay, well, this is a picture of a book that I wrote in 2007, Introduction to Graphic Communication. It was published by PIA, and it was quite popular. A lot of schools used it, but more importantly, perhaps for you guys, it was used for training, education and training people in the industry. You know, you bring in new employees, maybe from other industries. They don't know much about graphic arts, printing, publishing, and this sort of thing. And this book was used to help them train. So, a couple of years went by and people are telling me, hey, you got to upgrade the book. Technology's changing and this sort of thing. And yeah, I knew I had to do that, but I didn't have time. I was very, very busy. I was running a department at Cal Poly, doing all sorts of other things. And time went on and on and on. And I kept getting more inquiries. Got to upgrade the book. We need an updated version of the book. So I got a call from John, or maybe it was an email saying, hey, Harvey, I'm a writer. I'm an editor. Looking for projects to work on. Do you have anything in mind? So the thought occurred to me, well, maybe we have an opportunity here. If John and I partner, I would have time to work on this book. And to make a long story short, we partnered and we came up with the idea of not coming up with any book, but coming up with a book that's totally different, new and different, that's never been done before, an interactive book, not an ebook, an interactive book where the static pictures come to life, where leaders in the field talk to you about the different information that the book provides. It's not reading the book, it's talking about what it's all about. It's talking about what the chapters are all about. There are videos of technology. So if you see an inkjet printer, a picture of it, you click on it, and all of a sudden you see a demo of how the inkjet printer works and all the technology behind it. Long story short, we've been working on this for about a year, and with Rico's support, Rico's sponsorship, the book is a reality, and you all have one in your hands right now.
Thanks. Now that we had this grand plan a year ago, the question was how to do it, how to implement it. And at first, I thought, what about QR codes? Because those were simple, they were free, they were not necessarily the answer. As you all may have heard, they're not exactly the kind of experience that you relish. So we didn't abandon the idea. We just tried to think of alternatives. And both Harvey and I had experience with Ricoh and with clickable paper. I had reported on clickable for Siebold and subsequently. And so we thought about adding the alternative, which, as you will see when you use the book, it's a much better experience, a deeper, richer, more satisfying experience for a number of reasons. So we formed a partnership with Ricoh. We did a Kickstarter campaign. We printed a prototype which was debuted at Print 17. And we showed a video at Print 17, which is also a silent film. But this is with an older version of the book. And this was our vision at the beginning, so that we could take the printed book. And again, you don't have to have a special artifact on the page to read this. You can take any piece of print that was printed that you have a clear image of that you can upload into the interface and tell Ricoh what to do once a person finds that image with the app. So this is me doing that and finding videos, external applications, websites, more videos, PDFs, sound. But we can add all kinds of interactions to one particular image. In this case, it was the spread. And what I did, and I'll turn this over to Tom in a minute, is that we decided not to have a YouTube experience with the video. It's the common go-to because it's free. It's not free because they track everything you do. But it is basically a way to get video up cheap and easy. What we decided instead was to use a secure video platform that was ad-free, distraction-free. It had interactive features in their player, which I'm playing around with in that clip, and it also has the potential to be a secure environment for learning management systems for students who are logged in to have an experience that we're going to explore. So, Tom, could you just speak to the video? What's different between you and YouTube?
Okay, well, I think Vidler, our business for the last 10 years, we started competing with YouTube way back and quickly realized within 6 months of Google buying YouTube that we needed to get out of the user-generated content business. And over the years, 1,000 clients beyond, we've developed secure, private view interactivity that's based on our patent for clients like Amazon, Ascension Health, Honda Motor Company, really big companies that want their stuff to be secure, companies that are interested in measuring the impact of what's going on with the video that we're delivering to them securely. And the whole idea is to recycle the interactivity you can gain from people interacting with your video back into quantification that you can figure out you're really having an impact for the people that you're training to fix those copiers or the people that you're training to sell drugs or whatever the use case may be. And for this, it was a no-brainer for us to work together on just extending the printed page. I happen to be an Adobe alum from years ago, so this really felt like a good connection.
So the first thing, and I'm going to talk about this at 1 o'clock and we're going to all be in the same panel again, but we're going to talk about what the value of the printed piece has to be. And our first goal for a book was that it had to be a book worth keeping. And we think we've accomplished that a student would not want to sell this book, which is great news for publishers who are being hit by the resale market. So if it has intrinsic value, if you want to keep it on your shelf, then you have a greater incentive to reach for your phone and scan for whatever the interactive features are. I'll leave that for you guys to judge. Yeah.
I want to tell you that there's a philosophical premise behind this book. First of all, Ricoh is a very important OEM, but this book and clickable technology, clickable paper, places Ricoh into the communication business as well as the equipment and software business. It totally repositions the company if it wants to be a communication company. And the philosophical premise behind this is we all know that print It's the most detailed, informative, pervasive, and meaningful form of communication that ever was for over 550 years. And it started with Gutenberg. And you heard this morning in the keynote that print is not going away. How print is produced is going to be changed, what it does, but the physical book it focuses on different teaching styles. Different people learn in different ways. Some people learn best by reading, some by listening, some by viewing video. This book wraps it all into one. And you know something? This is applicable to any industry, any publication, any type of learning style. And that's a very important philosophical premise behind having produced this book. It's for training, it's for education, it's for communication.
The other thing about video and other resources that we attach to the book is people ask me, well, can't I just find that with a search? And Ryan referred to that of all the of SEO clutter getting in the way. But also, even if you know what you're looking for, you can ask my research partner how hard it was to find even the videos that we found, because there's a mountain of stuff that is not applicable, a mountain of things. We use marketing videos in relationship to the book, and we label them as such. And we got people like Dr. Eagleman to donate this extremely high quality. But when you go through the book, you're going to see some unevenness in video quality, because some of it was recorded on a guy's webcam. Some of it was recorded professionally. Some of it is pure marketing with very annoying music now, which we now can't hear, which is great. But the point was not to replace the book or to become an alternative to the book. The video and the other media are there to be focused by the book for the students, so that A, they don't have to go look for it, which is a nightmare. B, they're not distracted by all the things the internet can do to you, for you. And also, when you have a physical copy of a book, you know that on chapter 5 there was a thing you needed to remember. And you can find chapter 5 by just reaching on your shelf and looking. And if there is a video that you remember from that, because that video is accessible through Clickable, you can go find that again. One of the things that Tom didn't mention is that their player lets us do a little table of contents for longer videos. So you don't have to watch the whole video to find the part that you want. It's editorially, we're pushing out video of different levels of quality. But the point is, it supplements the main learning experience, which is the haptic printed page. Yeah.
One thing I want to add, this gentleman asked you a question, Ryan, that since we've been involved in this effort with John Harvey the last few months, the bells went off with us. We're a software company in this space a long time. And where's the value, and how do you sell this for customers, pull through benefit? We do a lot with creative agencies that do training in pharmaceuticals, where it's got to be regulated, it's very secured stuff. But at the end of the day, you're trying to pull something through. And when we get to, I guess the best use case of the creative side is people are, when our clients go in and walk into AbbVie, and the AbbVie say, so what do you got new for us to talk about today? What can you do to extend our experience? What can you do to create a competitive advantage? This is a bell ringer. Okay, these guys spend an enormous amount of money on the best paper imaginable to do this training for their people. Sometimes they're doing it for their doctor's offices, the leave behinds for the doctor's offices when the rep has to go to make a pharma call. If those materials that they spend a fortune for could be extended with clickable paper, which is right out of the box able to be done, that's a game changer. We've just started to, since I figured this out, frankly, how this works, we're just starting to circulate this with our clients in the creative side. They're doing stuff for those people. We're also doing McGraw-Hill worldwide, all their video delivery for the secure side. McGraw-Hill, if you're in the textbook business, the download is not a problem. When the kid gets a syllabus, they get a download. It says download the clickable paper app. It's like 9 other instructions they get, and it's in there. And if you're selling that on behalf and you're representing the person, or you happen to be the one printing that stuff, you've got an enormous competitive advantage if you can sell that kind of upgradability on your printed pieces.